Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Ujjawal Asthana, who is the co-founder of Zymrat, which is a D2C brand specializing in the area of fitness and performance wear. Hi Ujjwal, welcome to ELI.
Hi, Priya. Thanks so much for having me at ELI. So glad to be here.
I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Hey guys, my name is Ujjwal. I'm one of the co-founders at Zymrat, and I'm really passionate about the area of fitness. Have been kind of going to the gym, running, swimming, bunch of things for almost 7-8 years now, and yeah, love entrepreneurship, love fitness, and love building brands.
So before we start talking about Jimrat, Ujjwal, we would like to know a little bit about your life and mainly what is your background prior to entrepreneurship. Tell us about your early life a bit.
Sure, Priya. So, I mean, very surprisingly, I'm the first generation entrepreneur in my home. I mean, before my dad was an engineer in one of the public departments, and my mother also, used to work in one of the government services. My sister used to be a lecturer in physics in my hometown in one of the colleges, in reputed college actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, entrepreneurship is something which is very new to us as a family, and I'm the first generation entrepreneur in my home. I
Okay.
grew up in Patna, Bihar, and that's where I did all my schooling. And then I went ahead from there to do engineering from a college in Chennai. And I come from a very hardcore technology background. So before starting Zimrat, I used to kind of run a technology consulting startup for
Mm-hmm.
almost 6-7 years, wherein we used to kind of help companies and enterprises and startups from across the world in writing the technology stack,
Mm-hmm.
writing softwares, back end heavy lifting, and so on, and kind of had a lot of success over there. We brought some of the Fortune 500 companies from across the world, some YC funded startups, some
Mm-hmm.
Indian conglomerates as our clients, and had a lot of success in that company, doing fairly well for ourselves from almost 2011 to 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the kind of bug of fitness caught me. So as an individual, I have been self-employed and in this world of startup for almost 10 years now.
Okay.
But consumer brands, fitness, D2C is something which I have picked up in the last 3-4 years.
Okay. Uh, so curious to know, you started your career from a company such as Infosys, and then you moved to entrepreneurship. How was your transition like? Did you have a entrepreneurial gut prior to that, or what triggered you to make the choice?
That's an amazing question. I mean, I don't think I've been asked this before, but uh, when I was in Infosys, of course, I got a beautiful opportunity to kind of visit UK for almost 1.5, 2 years to work for a client,
Mm-hmm.
and there the kind of exposure I got with some of the colleagues over there and the community that I was kind of hanging out with over there, the technology community, right? It kind of gave me exposure to the YC forum, which we all
Mm-hmm.
very fond of, right? So I used to hang out a lot on the forum, kind of used to read through the comments, the questions. And right then, all these companies like Airbnb, of course, Facebook and everything else was really coming up, becoming really successful, right? So it was very intriguing to me as to how people like, very everyday people like me, my friends, from across the world, were
Mm-hmm.
kind of able to build some of these very successful enterprises. They were able to they did not necessarily have to have a lot of capital, need not have to come from a very rich background.
Mm-hmm.
People were able to take risks and kind of raise capital and do whatever they want to do, right? So that was very intriguing to me, and I kind of found a very deep connection to that, because the kind of independence these entrepreneurs were seeing in their lives to build something of impact was something which I personally got really attracted to, right? And that was my first, I would say, tryst with entrepreneurship through YC forums, kind of learning stories about some of the successful ventures like Airbnb, Reddit, and so on and so forth, right? So around 2010 was when 10-11 was when I decided to kind of quit my full-time role at Infosys.
Mm-hmm.
I was still in London, I remember, and I kind of resigned from there and came back to India to, of course, start something of my own, be
Okay.
with the family because my mother lives by herself, used to live by herself here, so I had to
Oh,
be with her as well, right? So kind of decided to kind of take that move, take the plunge, come back to India. And having been in UK, of course, had allowed me to kind of save up some money for myself.
mm,
I was smart enough to kind of take up health insurance and so on and so forth, so that even if, and I knew from the beginning, having read some of the stories from other entrepreneurs, that it's kind of a tough journey, right? So I mean, you may not even get paid for a very, very long time, so you
mm,
have to have some safety net.
mm.
So kind of arranged for my health insurance and so on and so forth, and took the plunge to kind of start something of my own around 2011, Priya.
Okay. Uh, Again, curious to know about the early days. You read about entrepreneurs, you knew the journey, but then starting up, there are challenges like you have done development, you have worked for a IT firm, but do you know how to sell? Do you know how to market your brand or your product? So, how did you go about solving these the first time entrepreneurship issues or challenges, should I say?
No, yeah, amazing. I mean, and you very, very right, right? So when you kind of get attracted to something like entrepreneurship, uh, for the first time, it's just the outer layer which is kind of attracting you, or calling for you, right? But there are so many things happening in the back end, as you said, right? So first time challenges, selling, learning about the business, so many compliances. I literally had no idea about anything, right? So when you are kind of working in a 9 to 5, most of the things are already taken care of. You don't have to really worry about compliances. Just you just have to kind of file one tax annually, and that too somebody can help, accountant, or of
Yep.
course platforms like your tax and all. But when I got into entrepreneurship, I mean, I learned for the first time, though, you have to actually register a company, and then there are so many formats of registering a company: private limited, proprietorship, partnership,
Mm,
and so on and so forth, right? So all these things are very, very new to me. Of course, I would say a lot of credit goes to the kind of people I was in touch with, right? So, and you would find it very surprising that um, it's all about asking out, right? So, I mean, asking people help in different departments, and even strangers really come
mm,
up and help you with information. And that's what happened to me, right? So, I kind of started reaching out to some of the people who were already doing their own businesses, were already entrepreneurs, they were self-employed, running their own businesses, right? So, and they kind of started sharing information with me that you have to start a business, then you have to do certain legal aspects, you have to do certain compliances and take up certain necessary steps before you can actually start the business, right? So those were one of the newest parts that I kind of started dealing with when I got into entrepreneurship for the first time. Apart from that, of course, the real challenges is actually building the business, right? To kind of make the product. So you can write code probably, but then how do you go ahead and sell it, is what exactly the question you asked, right? So
yeah.
these are all very, very new things to me, Priya, and I would say quite a journey in the beginning, almost for 1.5 years. Me and one of my friends, we kind of one of my friend kind of started trying building our own products. Tried, I think, 3 to 4 products over 12 months period, and
Mhm,
to be honest, nothing really worked. We tried building our own social network, we tried building some other websites. That time, of course, applications were still not popular because iOS and Android was still kind of not there yet, right?
mhm,
um did not really find success in the early days, but and what ended up happening was, because we were already kind of hanging out in the community across forums in different places, right? So writing some of these comments, or kind of voluntarily helping out people for free with some of the coding challenges, some of the technology challenges,
mhm,
kind of started building some reputation. And then over some conversations, it so happened that somebody uh, uh, offered us to write a piece of code or a piece of software for them. And from that's when we started realizing that, okay, this is also a revenue stream, uh, not just building a product, but also services where you can actually revenue start earning revenue and paying bills, because that is, of course,
mm,
why that's how you survive, right? I mean, by paying bills. So that's how my first exposure to selling came, when I learned that, if you kind of voluntarily help people, and people find merit in it, then you may get an offer. And then from there, we built out over 5 6 years a very successful venture, which kind of allowed me to learn more about entrepreneurship.
okay. Now tell us how Jimrat started. You were doing well in your service business. Then why to re-innovate, and I just want to understand the whole narrative. What came to your mind before starting Jimrat?
Right. So that was a very, very, I would say, spontaneous kind of step that Ankita, my co-founder, and I took. Now, of course, both of us share a very, very, I would say, common and a passionate interest for fitness, right? That's something which is common between us.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I was doing my previous service company, service startup, it was quite a lot of success that we kind of tasted there with that team, with that co-founder. And what that also meant was, with the amount of success, with the amount of money that came into picture, also came a lot of bad eating habits, to be honest,
Mm.
and no qualms, in saying that, no qualms in saying that, of course, once you have kind of resources to spend, you go out, you party and things like that, and so on and so forth, right? So, especially living in Bangalore, which is infamous for its watering holes, or rather famous for its watering holes, right? So, I ended up gaining a lot of weight. I think at some point in time, I was almost 95 or 100 kilos at just 5'8", which is my height. So you can imagine how unhealthy or unfit I was, right? So one fine day, kind of decided to, buy a treadmill for myself and started
Mm.
running. And for almost a year, Priya, every single day I used to run 5K. I used to go and swim for almost an hour, and
Mm.
also started to go to gym and kind of work out there. Although my knowledge of workout fitness was very, very limited at that point in time, but I still kind of continued to do that. And
Mm.
almost over a period of 18 months, I lost almost 30 kilos in weight. Now,
Oh,
the
okay.
way it changed me physically, but more than physically, emotionally, spiritually, it and the kind of impact it had on me as an individual was something that I had never seen before. Right. So I knew that fitness is something which I'm going to be attached to for the rest of my life. And even today, no matter how the schedule is, how the day is, at least I make sure I get 20-minute workout done,
Mm.
without fail. So the impact that the community of fitness, the activity had on me was when also Zymrat kind of started coming into picture, right? So
Okay.
when I was kind of going through my own fitness journey, of course, one of the things that anybody does in the community of in the fitness area of fitness is kind of you start talking to people, you start becoming an active member of the community of fitness, right? Especially because I was living in Bangalore, so I started talking to a bunch of coaches,
Mm-hmm.
people who run gyms, people who run marathons, and so on and so forth. And um, there were quite a couple of common problems that always used to come into picture when we kind of hung out with the community members.
Mm-hmm.
And the problems was the fact that how we all look up to or aspire towards these international brands that have been in India for almost 15, 20 years, right? I mean, all the international brands that we have come to know and admire. But while that was not really a problem, the problem was the fact that all the international brands that we have come to know and admire, right? If you walk into any of the showrooms, their prices of the products, which is kept on the top of the shelf, which is the top of the line products, the most innovative stuff, is
Yeah.
outright expensive to unaffordable, right?
Mm.
Um, and that was, I would say, the starting point of for us to kind of start thinking about why can't there be an Indian brand which is doing this similar kind of product, similar kind of offerings at much better prices. But
Mm-hmm.
interestingly enough, as we kind of matured as founders ourselves, as we matured as community members ourselves, and consumers most importantly, what we realized was that in the community of fitness, the pricing was only a part of the problem,
Mm.
right? Because people who invest in their health, people who kind of take care of their bodies, kind of go for running or gym or CrossFit or whatever, yoga, they do not hesitate from spending on their workout gear, right? And that's why I'm sure you would have seen in your own circle or somewhere that, I mean, people do not hesitate from spending a significant amount of money on their running shoes, or on the t-shirt that they work out in, or the shorts that they wear for the gym session or CrossFit session, right? The bigger problem that we had at hand, and that we also experienced personally, was the fact that more than 80-90% products from some of these international brands and the best products that are available to pretty much rest of the world and Western countries are not even available in India, or they do not even make to India forever, or maybe even if they come like 4 5 years late.
Mm.
And that was a kind of second core problem that we kind of started ideating upon and figuring out why is it that some of these best products are available only to the Western countries, or some of the smaller countries that we are neighboring to us, like even the Asian countries, but not available in India, because the kind of fitness in India was growing very, very fast. People are getting all kind of exposures through social media, through communities. But when it came to consumables, I mean, be it nutraceuticals or apparel or shoes, we were still far, far behind in terms of quality of the product, quality of options that was available to the Indian consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And and that's how Zymrat kind of came into picture. Yeah.
Okay. Now that we have the context, just tell us a little bit about the business side of it, and also a bit on the product. What is the product? What you are offering as a value to the customers, and how does the business look like from a revenue standpoint? Or, since it's a D2C brand, I would love to know the ticket size and all such metrics.
Sure, Priya. So, I mean, off the bat, of course, Zimrat, I mean, as the audience already knows, is a direct-to-consumer performance brand. Now, how we differentiate ourselves is, we have always led the company with a product first, innovation first, and technology first approach. Now, from day one, we knew being a consumers ourselves, pretty much the entire team is in some manner attached to fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And Ankita, my co-founder, and me being very, very deeply attached to fitness, knew that a company or a brand in this category will only be built based on technology, innovation, and problem solving approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we saw, as I spoke earlier, that we saw some of these international brands not bringing their products to India, we kind of pulled our socks up and decided, okay, we are going to solve the problems of that community of fitness in India is facing, and we are going to bring it under an umbrella which is called as Zimrat. Right now,
Mm-hmm.
essentially under Zimrat, Priya, we kind of deal in categories such as t-shirts, shorts, joggers, hoodies, sweatshirts, basically any product that you as an individual would need to, let's say, perform at your best
Mm-hmm.
on the running track or in the CrossFit gym or during your yoga session or a regular gym session or trekking,
Mm-hmm.
or any outdoor activity as well, right? We currently deal only in men's apparel. And of course, as we are growing by the end of this year or early next year, we are launching our first women's collection. And we follow that up with, of course, footwear. Footwear is something that we definitely want to solve as a problem as well, maybe after 12 to 24 months. Now, essentially, what we do, Priya, is we spend 3 to 4 times more on our raw materials, research and development, and technology bit compared to any other Indian brand that is out there, right? Now,
Okay.
raw material meaning the kind of fabric, threads, and the yarns that are being used in the manufacturing process, and
Mm-hmm.
technology meaning the kind of applications that go on top of these products to make them extremely high performance, right?
Okay.
Essentially, what this does, Priya, it allows us to manufacture products which can give any brand on the earth run for its money. So our technology-led approach, our resources that are being spent on R&D, raw material, and innovation and technology
Mm-hmm.
allows us to make some of the best products that has been ever made in the world. And number two, it allows us to kind of make some products which are, trademark to us. And of course, our vision is also to kind of build IPs around these products as we grow and mature, because we've been able to develop some of these technology pieces and some of these fabrics which have not been seen in India before, before Zimrat, right? Now, once we have had all these beautiful products, we kind of take it direct to consumers using our own website, which is zimrat.com.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very, very, very well thought, conscious choice for us to kind of not go offline in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
or not go into the marketplaces in the beginning, because
Okay.
when it comes to products like Zimrat, the story has to fall in all the right places.
Mm-hmm.
People have to learn about the engineering which has gone into the back end, the technology, the reason behind all these products. So each product that ever comes out of Zimrat has a problem attached to it. For example, we have a line called a Super Silver. Now, Super Silver is essentially a sustainable way of infusing silver ions into the t-shirt, which allows athletes and fitness posters like you and me to work out for longer hours without facing the problem of odor. Now,
Okay.
this was a problem of odor that we picked and solved it using technology called a Super Silver in t-shirts. Now, similarly, we have multiple lines which are dedicated towards individual problems that community has brought up to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, when it comes to products like these, which are such strongly built with such strong problems in the back end,
Mm-hmm.
people have to know why they have been built and how they have been built. So we decided to kind of keep all the distribution under our control on the website.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something which we continue to do today till today, even though we have been in the market for almost 2.5, 3 years now. And as we speak, of course, now we are kind of going ahead, as we have found our hero products, as we have found some of the products that have been in the market selling well within our consumer segment for almost 3 years now. Now we're taking some of these products to larger distribution networks like Amazon and some of the other marketplaces, and will continue to grow there and kind of scale up the business and kind of expand the distribution to larger consumer bases, right? In terms of ticket size, from our website, each order that goes out is at least 2,400 to 2,500 rupees,
Mm,
right? And one of the metrics that we kind of take a lot of pride in is in the fact that we have probably one of the highest retention number in this category, right? So over 12-month period, the 12-month old cohort that we have in Zimrat, almost 70% people from that cohort come back for repeat purchases, what we have seen.
mm,
That number is kind of constantly going up as well. So in the last 3 months, we have seen close to 45% people. So 3 months old cohort, 45% people have come back for a repeat purchase. So the amount of value that we are able to create with Zimrat products is absolutely mind blowing for people. So the moment they take the products in their hand, I mean, they're forced to come back and make a repeat purchase. We are probably one of the very few companies in this sector which sees almost 15% repeat purchase within 30 days in this category, right? So you hardly hear these numbers in apparel, but there's something which Zomato has been able to do because of the kind of value that we bring to the consumers.
awesome. We are almost up with the time, so I just have one question left. You can answer it in just one sentence. What is the meaning of entrepreneurship for you? How would you define the term entrepreneur?
That's actually very difficult to answer in one line, but I'll try my best. I think entrepreneurship is liberation for me, right? I mean, it's the freedom to kind of create something that you believe in. It's a freedom to create an impact over a problem that you have personally probably faced or you have seen people around you facing, right? The problem, the intensity of the problem can be different for different people, but for us, for Ankita and me as founders, the intensity of this problem, which is in the community of fitness, was very high. So we
Mm.
had to pick up the problem and solve it, and that's something which I believe only entrepreneurship could have allowed us, right? So for us to kind of build this thing from scratch is something we could not have done without being entrepreneurs, without being founders, without being self-employed.
Thanks for your time, Ujjwal, and it was a great learning session for us. Our best wishes for Jimrat.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Priya. Thanks for having me here.